FBI Director Kash Patel told Just the News, the indictments that we've seen so far are, quote, just the beginning. He says investigators are chasing criminal activity by people in positions of power, and that after 20 years of building what he calls a diseased temple of corruption, these walls are finally starting to crack. If he's right, this could finally be that moment of accountability that so many of us have been calling for a very long time now.
Beyond those who are already charged, do you think you've seen other crimes that might eventually get referred to justice?
Yes, we are looking at so many different leads on criminal activity by those who are in positions of power. And we're not going to stop until every single one of those is fully exposed. The documents are provided either to Congress or the courts of law, and make every referral we can to the Department of Justice. These indictments that you've seen and the ones that you're going to see coming up here in this near future are just the beginning. But I have to remind the audience one thing. Everybody's like, it's 7 months. What have you guys been doing?
Yeah.
Well, they spent 20 years building this diseased temple of corruption. It takes a little bit of time to defeat it and beat it down. And I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to look at the work the men and women of the FBI have done so far in these 7-8 months and just imagine what we're going to do come the year end.
Imagine what we're going to do come the year end. Talking about they have spent 20 years building this diseased temple of corruption. And it also strikes me because we talked yesterday on the show about Jack Smith. And there was that interview that Jack Smith did in London at the University College of London. He talked about a lot of negative things. He was trying to contrast what he did in the prior Department of Justice with what the president and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel are doing now. He tried to make it as if they are rogue. They are not the way this needs to operate. And there was this bite that we didn't even play yesterday, but I want to play it now because in contrast with the diseased temple of corruption that Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, is saying, and what Jack Smith is trying to piously tell Andrew Weissman is how this should be run and how he operated. Let's go ahead and play bite 2. This is from Jack Smith with Andrew Weissman in London. Very safe place for free speech, I've heard. But let's go ahead and run what he said yesterday, bite 2.
You can't say, I want this outcome, let me throw the rules out. That's why, frankly, you see all of these conflicts between the career apolitical prosecutors I worked with, because they're being asked to do things that they think are wrong, and because they're not political people, they're not going to do them. And I think that explains why you've seen the resignations, you've seen people leave the department. It's not because they're enemies of one administration or the next. They've worked through decades for different administrations. It's just they've been doing things apolitically forever, and when they're told, no, you got to get this outcome no matter what, that is so contrary to how we were all raised as prosecutors.
All right, I want to stop it right there because I want to push back and tell you why Jack Smith is an unserious person in this conversation. He said, you can't say, I want this outcome, let me throw the rules out. And he also said that you see all these conflicts between the career apolitical prosecutors I worked with because they're being asked to do things they think are wrong, and because they are not political people, they're not going to do them. And I think that explains why you're seeing all these resignations. If that is true, Jack Smith, I pose to you, and you're using this to criticize the Trump administration, the president who you investigated, where were those serious, apolitical prosecutors, career prosecutors that you worked with when James Comey said, I want this outcome, let me throw all the rules out? Where were they? Why weren't there mass resignations when James Comey himself interfered with the 2016 election multiple times by going around the Attorney General, going around the Justice Department to give press conferences about Hillary Clinton's email server? Where were these serious career apolitical prosecutors then? Why didn't they walk out at the DOJ because Attorney General Loretta Lynch couldn't get a handle on the FBI director? Or what about when the FBI director decided to send FBI agents in covertly, as if nothing were going on, to the White House in the early days of the Trump administration in 2016, 2017 really, and trying to get information out of Michael Flynn. And when you were asked about that in an interview, why did they go? Because I sent them. Well, why did you do that? Because I could. Because they weren't organized yet. That's throwing out the rules so you can get the outcome you want. So if Jack Smith were a serious person and could have this piety about how he believes that the government and the justice system in America works, it's not that this is abnormal. As a matter of fact, these things that he's saying are abnormal, like prosecuting James Comey, are trying to get back to how justice should work in this country. He can't have it both ways. He can't say that these are just wanting an outcome, throwing out the book, and so therefore they're going after James Comey without criticizing James Comey for what he did to this country. And the hilarity of it being with Andrew Weissman himself, who was a part of Bob Mueller's team, which was the hoax perpetrated on this country by James Comey, by people in the Obama intelligence sphere, by saying that this Russia hoax even existed, and they perpetrated this on the country for years, wasted American taxpayer dollars, hamstrung the presidency. You can't take people seriously like this. And that is exactly the diseased temple of corruption that Kash Patel is talking about. Because in reality, they are having it their way. And those prosecutors only resign out of protest when it's not the way that things have been done. But the way that things have been done have not been in line with how the Constitution set forward it to be done.